All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Freight Coach. My name is Chris Trolley. I am your host, and I am the Freight Coach. Before we jump into today's episode, as always, thank you guys so much for coming out and listening to this podcast. We are on an absolute roll here, ladies and gentlemen. We are not slowing down. If this is your first time tuning in, though, welcome. This is the real side of freight, you guys. I only speak to people who are active in the transportation industry. So rest assured, there's no theory. There's no people who think they would do something in a certain situation. This is brought to you by transportation professionals for transportation professionals. On top of this, I also have my weekday live show where I break down industry headlines and provide insight with these articles that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly the American flag behind me every single day, you guys, is because not only is this the greatest nation on earth, but I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. Before we jump in, one final thing. If you guys are not subscribed and you see value in what we talk about here today, you guys, subscribe and share the show. This is how we continue to grow. This is how downloads continue to grow exponentially every single month, is because of each and every one of you who constantly come back. You guys share the show, because if you guys see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. All right. I got a very special guest for you guys today. I've only known this gentleman for a couple of months, but we are very, very deeply connected on our love for the industry, our appreciation for the industry, and how we use marketing to grow the industry, because it is a new day and age, and the adoption of social media and multimedia channels to grow your brand, grow your companies, and everything else through that. And we're going to talk about all this today. So I have my man, Zach Williams with SPI Logistics here today. So Zach, thank you so much for joining me here.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Oh, dude, it's a pleasure to have you on. Dude, it's just been good getting to know you. And for those people out there who don't know who you are, like Zach comes from the industry. You got to tell us about the family connection to the trucking industry, man. How did Zach get here today?
Oh, how much time do you have?
A lot. It's my show.
uh, yeah, come from a family of truckers. Moving industry in 1929. My great grandfather started Williams Moving and Storage. At the time, actually, it was during the Great Depression, and he was driving around what is downtown Vancouver, and just looking for work, and going through what is Gastown, where the port is,
Mhm.
and saw a lady coming off a ship with a steamer trunk, and helped her out through the trunk in the back, drove her to her destination, and she pulled some money out of her pocket, paid him, and a light bulb went off. So he went back to the ports, started picking more people up, and he actually converted what he had was like a sedan, or like a 1929 car at the time. He actually chopped the back off and built a box
Oh,
for what is freight now.
yeah.
And Williams Transfer was born. That turned into Williams Moving and Storage. My grandfather took over. He was the co-founder of United Van Lines Canada. My father followed in his footsteps, and for 85 years, we were the largest privately owned moving and trucking company in Canada. So we had 17 locations at its peak, 400 full-time employees, 2,000 pieces of rolling stock. Um, and yeah, I mean, when I was young, my friends would come home with sand in their shoes and blisters from the monkey bars. I came home with axle grease and blisters from putting landing gear down. So, it's in my blood. I love it. It's come full circle now that I'm with SPI. And, like you said, I think I heard you say once, once you're in this industry for a day, you're in it for life.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at. But I appreciate it, man. It's trucking is the backbone of the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, look around your studio. I could look around my place right now. Everything at some point was on a truck.
Yeah.
And people don't appreciate that, and they don't need to, but we know the responsibility that we have in the trucking industry, and I'm appreciative of you uh pushing it forward and trying to better the industry. because I think it's huge, and people need to be aware of you know what freight is worth and where it's going.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. And it's like, and a lot of that stems from the fact that, same thing, man. My great grandparents started a trucking company back when they immigrated here from Germany back in the 1930s. And, seeing the evolution of where things are today, but also knowing that like there hasn't been the style of progress that is needed to fix the core fundamental issues of this industry. And I think if you sat there and talked to your old man about stuff, and I know what my old man's sentiment was, and some of my family members that are still driving to this day, is that like nothing's really changed. Like technology has gotten better. There's some things that are out there that have changed, but like the core fundamental issues on like driver retention haven't changed. And and it takes, again, I understand why people don't actually do much about these issues, Zach, because it's uncomfortable, right? Like, but as soon as you accept the fact, because again, like, dude, I'm an independent person, right? Like, I don't have the fucking major reaches yet, but like, dude, I know that everything starts with one. Just like when your grandpa started Williams Moving back in the day, started with one action. I know that when my great grandparents started, same thing, started with one action. I know when my old man started his trucking company, same thing. It started with one. And compiled and leveraging social media and leveraging today's marketing, like the reach is insane, man. And that's like
But
that's why I know that it can get solved, and it's going to get solved under my watch. It's going to get solved under my watch. I will do everything in my power to ensure that these core fundamental issues are changed, because like that's the purpose of all of this stuff, is to improve this industry.
well, you're bang on, and you know, trucking, logistics, it's a relationship business,
Yeah.
right? And people have to understand that times have changed, and those relationships, although the face to faces are great, that those relationships need to be nurtured online. So that's where social media comes in. That's where podcasts come in. That's where blogging comes in. It's you're not, my grandpa would show up in a suit, shake some guy's hands, and that was business. But nowadays, it's changed.
Yeah.
You need to have a voice online. That's how you communicate,
Yeah.
not only with people you're doing business with, but your customers. So you need to have a presence, and it's more important now than ever that trucking, it's an old industry, right? It's old school, it's an old boys club, whatever. You know, I'm with you, man. We have to change that. And I think the industry's growing and it's starting to accept that. But it's when it comes to technology, you know, get out of the way because it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to nurture it, how to make it so that it benefits not only our customers and our teams, but the industry in general. And it's that's why podcasts are huge.
Yeah. Dude, I'm right there with you, Zach. And I also think like to kind of tie it in, like this is just like this is the resolve of the blue collar worker. This is the resolve of the hardworking men and women of every industry that is underneath the blue collar umbrella, in my opinion, because no matter what comes out there, that like the adaptation that is required to survive out there as a small business. Because again, a lot of people look at, like, again, I'm a one truck. Like, why like, does my opinion matter? It does fucking matter. And like where like the levels that you can reach now, that's like, I love watching, like on Instagram and TikTok and everything else about the driver community that's out there that are putting their stories out there and telling that. And like, that was access that was never there a couple of years ago. And now that access is there. And I think leveraging that and then seeing it, like, dude, I love it too. Cause like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm a little kid every time I see trucks. Like anytime I see trucks, I see construction equipment. I'm a little kid, man. I love the smell of diesel. I
I'm
love
a I'm
the
a I'm a
sound of
I'm a, I'm
diesel.
I'm a sucker for Peterbilts, man. Straight pipes.
Yeah, Pete 379s are like that's my favorite. Even though my
But
dad only ran internationals, when he was driving the Pete 379 with straight stacks is like my fucking jam, bro. I love that truck.
I learned how to drive standard on a Sterling, a 5-ton. I was probably about 16,
Yeah.
working in the packing room at the family business, breaking down cartons and whatever. And one of the lead guys came up, pulled me out of the packing room. He's like, some guy called in sick. He's like, you ever driven a truck before? I was like, no. So he's like, get behind the wheel. And he stood on the steps, like to the door, and walked me through the gears. And I love it. It's nostalgic. But back to your point, with social media now, I think it's putting a face to the people in freight.
Yeah.
It's people are starting to understand what it takes for the guys and gals going through on the road. Like that one gentleman on LinkedIn, driver.
Dan Rowe?
Yeah, driver. The guy gets
Dan the driver Rowe.
500 lights,
Yeah.
and he's just posting honest, hard work,
Yeah.
pickups. And people didn't see that before. People take it for granted what drivers do, what people in logistics do, dispatchers, brokers, everything.
Yeah.
And it's starting to show a side that people never saw before, and I think people are going to start to appreciate it. But it's our job, being in the industry, to push that forward and and keep that momentum going.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man, because I think like it's more of a, and I've talked about this on my live show a couple of times, is it's a lot of it is about bringing that appreciation back to respecting what people did as a career, like the garbage men and women out there, and they like the store clerks and stuff like that, the dock workers, the guys and girls who are loading trucks and offloading trucks and the supply chain, all of that stuff, man, is it's like it's just become lost. But like again, this is why social media can be used for the better, is because like I want to hear those stories. Like, man, I would rather listen to like all of those, all of those people talk on social media, read their posts and everything about what they're going through. Cause again, man, like, dude, I'm from a blue collar working class family, like
Wisconsin.
no matter where anything evolves, man, I will never be better than anybody at the end of the day. That was the one thing my dad instilled in me from a young child, Zach, is it doesn't matter what you do in life as long as you're the undeniable best at it. And he's like, I don't care if you're a garbage man, be the best fucking garbage man that there ever was. I don't care what you do, be undeniable in it, and I always saw that in him too, because like there was never anything above him, man. Like he did a lot of his own maintenance on his stuff, but and I see that all over the industry. And I think like the problem that comes along with social media and media in general, which I'm not a fan of mainstream media, but I understand their position. Their position is clicks. So what gets clicks? Negativity gets clicks. Doom and gloom gets clicks. So people resort to that. I understand that. I'm just choosing to not participate in that because again, I think of the owner op out there who has everything leveraged, that hasn't seen their family in 3 weeks, who
Yep.
doesn't know how they're going to pay their bills next month. Instead of putting out the just sell your fucking truck, let's talk about how they can stay in business. Let's leverage these platforms for what I feel they are intended to do. And that is to put information out there for people to utilize in their business. And a lot of it to me, man, is it's like, dude, like nothing we're doing is proprietary. But one thing that I'm not saying, oh, everybody needs to become an entrepreneur or anything else, but unless you've started a business before and you haven't had a direct deposit coming every 2 weeks, you will fastly realize there is no fucking playbook to this. And it's always easy to sit back and judge and be a Monday morning quarterback than it is for you to actually go for it yourself. So instead of sitting there and saying like, oh, they should know that information, which rightfully so, I respect that stance, because if you're going to go into business, you should probably figure some shit out. But the fact of the matter is you don't have it all figured out. So why don't we put this information out there? Why aren't we en masse putting best practices out there to keep people seated, to keep people profitable, and let them run with that? I think that if that was the overall trajectory and approach for a lot of people, man, we would fast track the change of a lot of these fundamental issues in our industry, Zach. And that's why, again, I'm going to stick to it, man, because like, dude, and me and you have talked about this in length. You know, Zach and I talk a lot offline and stuff. And I don't engage in the clickbaitish posts and everything else because who benefits from that, man? I would benefit from that. But somebody else out there might see that and shut their business down based off of what I put out there. And it always comes back down to my family ties in this industry of like, we got to put information out there to keep people profitable because like I've been that kid that didn't have their dad there at Christmas because he was fucking stuck at a delivery because he didn't get offloaded in time. I've been that kid that the old man wasn't there for my birthday party, that wasn't there for my baseball game, that wasn't there for family events. I've been in that fucking position. And that is terrible for a child to experience. And it is our duty to ensure that that shit doesn't happen. Like, again, nothing's perfect, but it is our duty to ensure that this stuff, we put all of our resources at it to ensure that this is minimized.
Chris, I recently did a blog post. SPI Logistics is part of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
I did a blog post for the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. And you know what stunned me when I was doing my research? That before the pandemic, even the New York Times, there was no desk that would cover supply chain.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then all of a sudden COVID hits and there's, natural disasters and the ports are backing up. And all of a sudden, because people can't get their package on time, now they're worried about it. Right?
Yeah.
But this stuff comes to the forefront. And now guess what? You turn on the news, supply chain, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's this exposure that, even if it came through something bad, we're starting to get that exposure. And I think it's important for people to realize that if you don't get your package on time, that there's people working hard behind the scenes to try to make it happen.
Yeah.
And there's a long list of, warehousing and carriers and, shit goes on that people don't understand.
Yeah.
And as long as we can keep this moving forward and enlighten people to understand that, it's not a magic trick. Shit doesn't show up on your doorstep. Shit doesn't show up in the store. Christmas presents don't come under the tree.
I know.
It's somebody drove it there. Somebody worked their ass off, did it, warehousing, dock to dock, whatever. There's so much behind it, and people are starting to realize that now, and we just have to keep that moving forward. And I'll tell you one thing. I'm humble because when I was young back in the moving company, a guy came up to me and I kind of snubbed him off. He was a driver. And he said, "You know what, Mr. Williams? I was driving trucks in Baghdad when you were in your dad's bag. So don't tell me." And I just went, whoa. And ever since then, it's been about respect, because these people that go out and are the backbone of the economy, we have to appreciate them. And now that we have these channels to do it, I love it, man. And even though when people say you swear a lot, those people have never been around a truck.
Yeah. It's, man, I just feel like, again, I would rather have somebody not like me for me being me than like a version of me that's not real. Like I'm unapologetically myself. It's a very liberating feeling. And I wish more people would adopt that. Like, I'm not afraid to speak my mind and be my true self. And if I'm not for everybody, that's fine, man. I'm not out here to be best friends with literally every person on the face of this earth. I love people. I want to help as many people as possible. But at the end of the day, man, I am also a realist at heart. And I know that damn near 50% of the people out there already don't like me because of the way just me in general. It doesn't matter what I do or say,
Chris,
already
hey,
not
man,
like me.
Hey, it's not show friends, it's show business.
Exactly. Exactly, man. And for me, it's just one of those situations, dude, where again, like you see this out there in the social media world all the time, Zach, because everybody's always like, oh, be authentic and be this and be that. But people think like you can curve that. People think like, oh, I can be 80% me and then I'll mask the other stuff. I prefer to rip the fucking band-aid off and be 100% myself every time. And so be it. Like at the end of the day, man. And I think that more people would find themselves at peace and they can sleep at night knowing that they are who they are. And they would know that their customer base, for example, people are going to buy from you because they like you, man. It has very little to do. Like, yeah, if you have a shitty product, obviously they're not going to, it doesn't matter how much they like you. If your product sucks, they're, it's like that's going to be out the door. But at the end of the day, man, that's a very, very large portion of it. And I would rather have my customers, the people who I'm doing business with, be able to say he is him. All right. And that's it. Like there's no facade because good, bad, or indifferent, man, in freight, my customers need to know what's going on with their freight. They don't want me to
I,
be buddy-buddy with them. They want me to deliver the truth. They want me to deliver a solution and be real.
I'd rather have people find me abrasive, but they can't complain about my deliverables,
Yeah.
than if I was fake and, oh, he's a nice guy. It's, you can't fake it till you make it in this industry.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is, work hard, build contacts, build relationships, and be your true self. We're going back to what we first said.
Yeah.
It's a relationship industry.
Yeah.
And if you try to put up a facade, people are going to find out real quick, man.
Yeah.
Like, and they're not going to do business with you.
Yeah.
You're better off to be honest and be abrasive and meet those deliverables, because at the end of the day, they're going to come back to you. Even if they don't like you, if you get it done, hey,
It's very
that's
true.
what it's all about. And there's a lot of hard heads in this industry. It's trucking, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's got stiff shoulders, but
I just look at it like
that
this, Mac. Everybody who I've came in contact with, granted, some of them don't swear as much as others, but everyone in this industry who I've came in contact with behind closed doors communicates this exact same way. Like I see it all the time, man. I see it all the time at trade shows that I'm at and everything else. And I get it in my DMs. I wish I could say what you say. And my response is, well, why don't you? But like that's my whole point and I also attribute that into like if you're gonna build a brand and stuff, Zach, you'll find it a lot more I don't want to call it streamlined, but you'll find a lot less resistance if people can watch your stuff and be like, yeah, that seems legit. Like that person seems real. And again, man, like that's the biggest compliment that I think I've received out there in meeting people in person is like, dude, you're the exact same off camera that you are in real life. And I'm like, I'm not fucking putting on a facade here, you guys.
Chris, everybody's been speaking this way for decades. It's just now it's public.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's out in the open. So, they could poo-poo it or whatever, but it's been happening for years. So the people, like I said, people that complain probably have never been around a truck, never been in the yard, and never been in a truck stop. And, it's.
I'm right there with you, man. It's and I hear it from, because like I'm in an entrepreneur group that, the guys who are in charge of this are high level like business owners. They are founders. They created 9-figure companies out of nothing. Like they've been through that. And they talk about stuff like this in there where, it's a lot along the lines of like a lot of the criticism are from people who would never do business with you anyways. They would never buy from you anyways. They don't even want to listen to you anyways, but they want to put some stuff out there. And I think like, coming down to like building a brand, for example, let's talk, like, I want to touch on this because again, most people are like, oh, what about the hater? There's not that many haters out there, you guys. Like even if you reach a certain level, a lot of people's keyboard opinions don't mean shit anyways. Because at the end of the day, like people are afraid to like put themselves out there from that regard. And again, like building my brand over these last couple of years and kind of figuring this out. Cause dude, I'm not like, I'm a freight broker at heart, man. Like I know trucks, I know freight, building a brand, marketing, and all this stuff, this is developed in a constant evolution that I'm on with it. Because again, starting out, man, I just told myself, all right, I'm going to post every single day. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post every single day and I'm going to go with it. I chose like the backwards hat, for example. Dude, that's what I did every day on the brokerage floor when I was slinging freight. When I was coming up in the industry, man, it was backwards hat every single day. When we classed it up, we threw a polo on, and I started wearing a blaze orange polo. To be noticed is what it was, Zach. It was because like, hey, as I grow, as I'm walking around at a trade show, as I'm in front of people, I need to stand out in the crowd because, dude, like I don't have a trust fund. I don't have any, like I, whatever I produce is how I feed my family. Anything everybody sees, this is what I do to put food on my table, to keep a roof over my family's head. And I need to stand out in a crowd. How do you do that? Rock a blaze orange polo and a backwards hat, fucking walking around a trade show.
I love it, man. Like even like in the morning shows, people post orange shirt gang.
Dude, it's a
You know, and
credit,
no,
credit to Sunny Sharma.
it's a thing. It's a
I
thing, man.
know.
It's a, like, could you ever look back and like say like, oh, this orange polo is gonna take off? Like you did to stand out. Do you think you would have a following? Be where you are, the freight coach. Do you ever think that?
No, dude. Like, and that's what's crazy about it.
But you have this following now because you wore the orange shirt, because you were true to yourself, and you keep wearing it. And people that follow you realize that you're true to yourself, and they respect that.
And I do own multiple. It's not the same one. I have 6 of them. Just
I haven't seen you rock the SPI shirt I sent you, man.
oh, dude, I have it and I wear it. I just, when I'm on
How do you
break,
feel? How do you feel about SPI? By the way, no, I don't
you
want
know,
to get in. I don't
it's
want to make it a sales thing here,
no,
but
but
you're on the team now. How's it feel?
what for me, Zach, when you meet so many people throughout life and you can tell genuine when you meet them. And when I initially met
Right?
yeah, Mike, dude, but when I met them back at the TMSA conference in Orlando, it was, dude, I just have such like starting out and growing all of this stuff, Zach, and I'll tie this all together. Like having people actually believe in your vision is it's like the most rewarding feeling ever. And to have that conversation with them in Orlando and they like, man, I like it's like it's an indescribable sensation to have that validation because people only, again, man, people are gonna look at my stuff now and see a different version of when I started. They're gonna see the different version of when I was in my bedroom creating content every single day, trying to figure this out, scared shitless, not knowing how I was gonna pay my bills that next month. And when a company like SPI looks you in the eye and says, dude, we love what you're doing. We love everything about what you're doing. And I'm like, hey, like I am who I am. Like, I'm not overly extreme on some of my stuff, but I keep it real. And they're like, well, we don't want you to change at all. Like in actuality, keep doing you, man, because your passion is there. They didn't say this, but your give a fuck is there. And having that, man, is like the greatest feeling ever when you are, because at times, man, like what people don't see is a lot of it, you might be 30 days away from closing your doors. You don't know how that next group of bills are going to get paid. And when you have somebody who believes in you, man, it's an indescribable thing. And then going in and knowing, like, coming full circle on my journey and then becoming an agent for SPI, it was a no-brainer to me to align myself with great people. Because again, back to that there is no playbook to this. Back to like there is a lot of capital required to start a freight brokerage. It's not, because like the internet gurus out there are like, oh, you just need a bond. Yeah, that's very true. But if you want to move real freight, you better have insurance. You better have a lot of capital behind you because that's what it takes to survive. And being in the position I was at that time, it was a no-brainer to align myself with an agency model. And SPI took a risk on me just as much in the instance because, like, man, I had been out of the game for a couple of years in the sense
I,
like a book of business to where it's like they believe,
I wouldn't.
and it's a
I,
belief in me, man. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off there, Zach, but it's the belief in me that stands out the most because again, dude, like 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, bro, I was still delivering pizzas at night to feed my family. And that goes over a lot of people's heads when they see the fancy camera and the fancy shit now. 24 months ago, man, I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. And when the SPIs of the world, the trucker tools of the world, the SPI or the emerges of the world, the V hubs of the world look at me and say, dude, we believe in you. That loyalty to me is why I am where I am today.
Absolutely. And just going back a bit, you know, you say taking a risk on you. eh, I don't think SPI took a risk because they see what you're doing, they believed in you, and they're in, man, and that's why you're part of the team. It's the same with me. Like when I went through the interview process, I met with Mike, met with Joe and Mitch, and it's you have to answer the tough questions to get in, but if you can prove to them and to the team that you're all in and you believe in what SPI is doing and the vision that we have to grow the freight industry
Mhm.
and help out brokers. And what's good for brokers is good for us. And it's give and take, and it's a two-way street, not a highway and a bike path.
Yeah. No,
You
I'm
know,
with you,
and
man.
and and we turn a lot of people away. We do. I'm in charge of bringing leads in. We turn a lot of people away,
Yeah.
and there's a high barrier of entry. But if you're in, it's because we believe in you. But
Yeah.
you have to have that SPI hustle.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
And I mean, I one of your first episodes I ever heard, you're talking to Mike, and you know you're like, oh, like what are you up to? And Mike's like, oh, like I'm on the road for the next 3 weeks visiting agents,
Yeah.
because that's what Mike does. That's what the team does. They're on the ground giving real time support to our team because we're a team,
Yeah.
right? So it's all these other groups and their non competes and whatever. I don't even get into that, but
Yeah.
it's there's something special at SPI, and that's why I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah. And
I met you through it, and
yeah.
even before you were an agent, you and me connected, and this energy, it's great. And if people don't like it, they can step aside because we're not stopping.
Yeah. It's, when it comes down to it from like the agent experience in really, the support that's there, because people might hear this conversation and be like, oh, Zach's he's an employee, like he's got to say this and everything else. But like, dude, as someone who is an agent with SPI Logistics, the attentiveness, the resourcefulness, and everything that is there has made us grow to the levels we have because of that support. Having Mike text me at random hours, hey man, you good? Do you need anything? Having you reach out to me, Joe, Anita, all of them, man, like having them reach out and like it speaks volumes. And knowing that like the technology is there as well. So it's like for me, it's a no-brainer. If you're out there as a sales rep, and I felt this way too, you've built something good, like you've built something really good, and that you're not getting what you want out of it. Becoming an independent agent for me is a no-brainer for a lot of people out there because you're already doing it all. Like no joke, you're literally already selling, you're already vetting customers, you're already building relationships with carriers and everything else. Why are you like I understand the W2. I understand getting that direct deposit every couple of weeks, but you will never ever make what you truly think you are valued at by being a W-2 employee for somebody. Like, because at the end of the day, unless you are in that position where there's a high base salary and untapped commission, which is very few and far between. Uh, but if you want to bet on yourself in a secure way, because that's the thing, it is a very secure and calculated risk out there because there is the infrastructure that is in place, the insurance is already in place. The quick pay options from carriers, the load board access, the technology is already in place. You
But
literally just have to bring your book of business and a work ethic. And if you are that badass that we all tell ourselves, you will make more money as an independent agent than you could ever fathom out there.
well,
And
that's
on
the thing.
top of that, you have the support of them behind you.
That's the thing about SPI, right? Like you just hit the nail on the head. What we do, and yeah, like you said, people are gonna think Zach works for SPI. It's in sales. It's not. I believe in this because I believe I've seen trucking my whole life. What we do is handle the back office so you can do what you do best, and that's handle your customers and focus on freight, right? And that's it. And people think, oh, that's a sales call. Who's calling you? The VP of sales, Mike,
Yeah.
the president. It's not. It's a personal thing. We want our agents to grow. We want to support them, and our C-suite is right there the entire time to help them. I'll help them in the marketing aspect, but it's more than that. I go back to this. Trucking is a relationship business, and SPI is built on relationships.
Yeah.
And if we believe in you, you have to believe in us too, because we're going through it together. But guess what? We're gonna do great.
Yeah. And there's, and on top of that too, man, it's because I think like a misconception about being an agent for somebody is that like you have to fall like you're an employee and everything. Like, man, like there's no KP, like there's no, hey, you didn't meet a monthly this and that, man. Like independent agent, 1099, be doing your own thing. You got your own business. You literally have your own business and you operate your own business with the support system of a major corporation behind you, and that's the beauty of it. It's just like being a leased on owner operator. You got the truck, you're already paying for all that, but you go in and you lease on with the trucking company. They got the freight, they got the trailer, they got the routes, and you just run and make money. It is literally a license to print money out there, and this is coming from someone who is an agent for them. I am out there. I'm not an employee from that perspective at all. We
No,
are
you no,
we are
you're an independent. You're an independent business owner.
Yeah, we are
No,
partnered, like legit.
no, but yeah, we're partners. What's good for you is good for us, and we want to see you grow because Chris, you're an independent freight broker,
Yeah,
right? You use our technology, and we're better off having you on board, but you're gonna benefit too. And like I said, it's a two-way street. It's not a highway and a bike path. And people need to realize that this model that other groups have where they feel like they own their brokers and like we it's a relationship over here.
yeah,
And like at the end of the day, yeah, business, but it's it's a relationship. It's more than that. And you can talk to people on our team, you can talk to the other agents. And I think, I've been with SPI going on 6 months. So yeah, I'm new. But I've only ever heard one bad thing about SPI, and it was from an agent that left and wished he could come back.
yeah. Zach, again, to me, it's like I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there in this year that, to no fault of them, are going to be let go due to the economy operating. Because again, recession, all that uncertainty, you're already seeing layoffs in mass.
Ryder just let off like what 10,000 people.
Yeah, and here's the thing, is it's not gonna slow down because again, a lot of these large companies, dude, publicly I'm not here to tell anybody how to run their business, but I think that some people are gonna wake up at some point this year. And I hope this doesn't happen. I hope I'm wrong in this one, Zach, but there's gonna be a time that a lot of people are gonna wake up and they're gonna be without a job. They're gonna pull up their email and they're gonna see you've been let go for whatever reason. You could be a high performing employee, whatever that looks like. Imagine never going through that ever again, taking control of your life and literally betting on you, because that's what you get as a freight agent. That's what's not talked about. As an independent business, which I am,
You eat what you kill.
exactly, and I won't ever be in that position ever again where someone's going to be like, you're just another number. You're eliminated. Oh, by the way, you have a non-compete and a non-solicit. So you're fucked for the next 2 years. That will never happen to Chris Jolly ever again. That, and then furthermore, just a little caveat, none of my employees or anybody who works with me will ever have to sign that. If you don't want to work with me, if you feel like your opportunity is better somewhere else, more power to you. You got a family to support. You got a life to live. I'm not here to stop anybody from doing anything, but I hope you can walk away and being like, man, at least they prepared me. And that's all I want. Because again, man, I've been in that situation. I've been on the other side of a lot of that. And never again, never again. I will show up and perform and support and do anything to make sure that my family has everything forever, for eternity, till my last breath in my body. I will do everything to ensure that they never fucking go through that. Um, yeah, dude, that was kind of a little bit of but I'm feeling good, dude. Here we are,
Uh,
man. I'm
but
ready.
that's it.
Yeah,
Like what you just said, and right now you just took a step back and like you're fired up. You're fired up because the shit you say, like the smell of diesel is nostalgic. This is it. This is it, man.
it's not a hobby to me, dude. And I talk
No,
like
I know, no, that's it's passion, baby. Passion.
it
It's
is.
passion.
It is, Zach.
And you know what? And that's it. And it takes one to know one. So I appreciate you. And I know we talk formally like emails and stuff, but we also talk, on the side.
Yeah.
And I I really like what you're at, pushing the industry forward. And like you tell people, share this with your followers. If you're not following, share this with your friends, whatever. Because what's good for them is good for us. As an industry as a whole, we have to push this industry forward. And
Correct.
I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
Correct,
I
man.
know the company I work for is all in. I know you're all in. And that's it. And if somebody self doubts or second doubts or asks questions, don't give them the time.
Yeah.
No, because that's taking your focus and our focus off the end goal, which is moving the logistics industry forward, making it more successful, bringing more people into it, making it more, making the general public more aware of how important it is,
Yeah.
and bringing it out on medias such as we are talking right now. So let's keep it moving, baby.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. And I think like again, like knowing what I know now, you know, like it's like I'm never gonna sit here and say that it's not scary. Because the fact of the matter is, you know what? Nothing's secure in life. Nothing is guaranteed in life. 5 minutes from now isn't guaranteed in life. But if you are where I was for the majority of my career, is knowing I wanted more, knowing I was capable of doing more, knowing I wasn't living up to my full potential, you need to explore this, you know? And again, I will never regret anything. And there's a lot of power in words, so I won't even say it, but I will never regret anything. I don't look back. If anything, over these last 2 years, man, I look back and I'm like, how the fuck have I got here? But that is just a testament to surrounding yourself with the right people, eliminating distractions, and knowing and holding yourself to a higher standard. And when you do that, man, you will achieve some great things. Zach, I appreciate you joining me here today. And dude, how does anybody reach out to you to find out more about SPI, or just to find out more about Zach Williams, who's been in the industry for a long time and just loves trucking as a whole?
Well, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You'll find me Zach Williams under SPI. Obviously, SPI3PL.com. And if you want to reach out to me personally, reach out to Chris, who can give you my number, and we'll talk, because it's a journey. Everybody's going through it. And no matter where you're at, as long as you're moving forward, we'll move forward together. So
That's right, man. That's right. Well, hey, you guys, if you guys have made it this far in the episode and you're not subscribed and you saw value in what we talked about here, you guys subscribe, share the show, get it out there. Because at the end of the day, you guys, if you guys see value in this, your network's going to see value in this as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.